Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today, after a couple of weeks back, I promised a big, exciting guest, a first-time guest. I've got 4 of the 5 of these Sith listers now, but we've got the big daddy, we've got the king of herding cats right here, the host himself, Iraj Dowlatshahi. How you going, mate?
I'm doing well, and I want to give you credit for attempting my last name, man. That's pretty good.
Well, when I had Les on a few weeks ago, I'm like, Les, every time I listen to Sith List, Iraj messes with your name. Like, is it Gonzalez? Is it Gonzalez? Like, what is it? I want to get it right. Just to have a crack at it, to try.
Right. That's smart, actually, to ask him that. But it is Gonzalez. But mine is Dowlatshahi, and you, like, pretty much nailed it there, buddy.
Well, I do my best. I try at least try and make people feel a little bit welcome, rather than go like Iraj, I'm sure you've seen it all the misspellings and the sort of like, hey buddy, Iraj D.
I've heard it. I've heard it so many times in different ways that I forget sometimes what my last name is.
Like, oh, that could be me. Somebody just mumbled over there. That could be someone just not bothering to try and learn my name.
Exactly.
So I just dropped in the king of the cat herders. Like running a podcast with, at least 4 other people on there all the time. Like, this is just I'm lucky if I get 2 guests at once. It must be nice better, like, just talk. Just you, don't worry about other people butting in.
Oh, dude, this is awesome, man. And I don't have to edit. This is crazy. This is like Christmas Day for me. Yeah,
well, you, like, because you guys record, like I've been on before, you record sort of midweek and then you'd sort of drop on the weekend and stuff. And you're in that, at the moment, I mean, it won't be too bad, I think, in a week or two when Loki drops, but you're at that worst bit where you record and then it's almost like you're talking about the last week's episode, like of Mandalorian. By the time it sort of comes around the thing, like,
I know, it's
you're talking
the worst.
You're like in the worst possible. I always go, why don't they just like drop the day they record? And I'm going, there's just too much editing. Raj is just a perfectionist.
Definitely not a perfectionist, but I'm an idiot. Let me tell you why. Because from the beginning, I decided I'm going to put sound bites in, and I'm going to put these cool sound effects, and I'm going to put these like background music on, and I'm going to make it sound like I used to. Like, I grew up listening to radio dramas with my dad, like on long road trips. So I love radio dramas. So I said, if I ever do a podcast, I'm going to make it sound like kind of like a radio drama as much as possible, as much as a podcast can possibly be.
Yep.
But let's just say Eric Struthers or King Tom has a story. Sometimes I try to put sound effects to their stories. You know what I mean? But now it's become a thing. And if I don't do it, it's like, oh man, Raj must be just like chilling. He's laxing on this podcast thing. So yeah, that's what I do.
I love all that.
And before we were specifically on Sundays because we were on a network before where we had to be on a specific day. And now we just haven't. I just haven't changed it up.
Force of habit. I love all those, like, I used to love like all the old Monty Python comedy albums and stuff like that.
Right.
And there was an amazing radio show in Australia, and I'm sure the Australian listeners will know this, called Get This, that was sort of the mid 2000s, and it was a guy mostly called Tony Martin, who'd been on radio for years and stuff. He was a known Australian comedian, and he would do like crazy elaborate radio comedy sketches and stuff, where he'd do like he did a whole sketch about them being drought-affected farmers out in the outback, and then Nick Kershaw shows up on the back of a flatbed truck and plays them songs to bring the rain and stuff like that. It's like there's crazy elaborate sketches and stuff, and you're into that sort of audio production stuff. It's really, really intricate.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
And every time I try it, I'll send you some clips because there's clips on YouTube. Every time I start dabbling in that, I just go, it's too much work. It's just like, occasionally when
it is a lot.
Like Imperial Senate did they think they hit 100 episodes or 200 episodes, and I sent them a little clip and put some. I'm like, this is a lot of mucking around for a 5-minute gag. I don't know how
it is tough. Yeah, but once you get used to it, it becomes like a whole thing. And I have like files and files of sound bites now, and things that I always go to. But yeah, what's interesting is I just got done with a Dr. Aphra radio drama that they put out, and it's phenomenal, man. I love it. It's so good. It reminds me of the old school original trilogy radio dramas that they made back then that a lot of people don't even know or have heard about. I absolutely love those.
Do the different voices always throw you off on that? I always find every time I try to get into listen to those, I'm like, they don't sound like Mark Hamill. Or is Mark Hamill in it? Some of them are in it.
Well,
aren't they?
Mark Hamill's in the first two, I believe, and then the third one he's not. But they have Billy D. Williams, Mark Hamill, Anthony Daniels, Yoda for Empire is John Lithgow, and it's
As
horrendous.
In Third Rock from the Sun, John Lithgow.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and it's awful. It's awful. Vader's kind of shady.
Is that before? Was that recorded before Empire came out? Does he know what Yoda sounds like? Is he attempting like a Frank Oz Yoda, or is he just
was record? Yeah, that was after Empire came out, and they couldn't get Frank Oz, or Frank Oz didn't want to be bothered with it. So John Lithgow was like, "I'll do it." And I think the person that directed it was Tony Gilroy, if I'm not mistaken. And so they were doing a movie together.
Tony Gilroy.
I think not Tony Gilroy or something. Nah, Tony Gilroy would be way too young. Way too young at that time. It's somebody popular that was working with John Lithgow, and they needed a Yoda, and he just asked him, and Lithgow was like, "I'll do it.
I'll do
over
this.
dinner," and he just did it and decided over dinner, and he went in the studio next day, and but it wasn't good. Like I'm not trying to prop John
Lithgow.
Lithgow.
In Harry and the Henderson, so he's used to big furry. You know, he wouldn't balk at a Chewbacca or something like that. You know,
Harry and the Hendersons. That's a good reference. Good job.
I wonder if
nice
that's on Disney Plus actually. I don't know.
Is it really?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Every now and then because we've got all the Star stuff here as well in Australia, so we got all the Fox catalog and things. You know, so I fall down the road. Like I watched Alien 3 the other day, just because I was flicking around, going, "Oh, I've watched Alien 3 for a while. Is it bad? Is it good? It's pretty good." People kind of
That's David Fincher.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. Have you ever seen the documentary about it?
No, I've heard things. I've heard some good things.
I've got the box set. The irony being, I've got like the Alien Blu-ray box set like on my shelf, but I'm not going to get up off the couch to walk put the thing in.
I trust you.
Yeah, but if you ever watch
I've heard it's phenomenal.
Oh, it's fascinating. But he just had the word. I don't think he even talks about it now. Like I think he just like, do not bring up Alien 3 ever. It scarred me because he was like 29 or something, and he took over from somebody else, and it was just a disaster. They'd already locked in the release date, and they'd already built the sets, and they changed the script, and
they messed with them. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
You know what's a really good film documentary about making a film is Heart of Darkness. It's Apocalypse Now, the making of Apocalypse Now, and the stuff that they went through. Like Martin Sheen had a nervous breakdown during the set. Somebody had a stroke and almost died. It was crazy. Everybody was on LSD. It was a trip.
I love those.
You got to watch Heart of Darkness if you can find it. It was the VHS was out of print for a while. I don't know if they made it in digital form, but
have you ever seen which is a very obscure show? You probably wouldn't. I don't know if it ever made to America. A show called Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Have you ever seen that?
No.
So basically, what it is, it's a comedy show that was made in the early 2000s, but it's basically a mockumentary, half series of a 80s horror show on TV. So it's this really, really low budget, really bad like horror TV show, and it's intercut with like the cast, like they're interviewing them now, talking about how they believe in the project, they believe it's so great, and they're just talking retrospectively about it. It's got faces you kind of recognize, a few people like Moz from the IT Crowd, who was in The Mandalorian. He was the robot, the one that was with the bounty hunters, the one that was I can't remember what he was called. I can't remember. You'd know him if I showed a picture of him. And it's got gotcha. Matt Berry from What We Do in the Shadows, and yeah. So it's that sort of that thing of like, it's so bad it's funny, the show, and then them playing the people who are making it. It's this weird sort of like documentary on a documentary on a documentary kind of thing. Yeah.
That sounds great.
It's very cool. So how
did you? Oh, go. I'm so.
No,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you guys have in Australia Elvira?
Is that the big booby lady?
Yeah, the big booby lady.
So she's like the horror lady or something, isn't she?
The horror lady, the big booby horror lady that would wear this black risque outfit. The only reason I brought her up is because when I was a kid, I just talked about this yesterday. When I was a kid, I would watch Elvira, not because of her big boobies, but I would watch her because she would have 3D movies on, old school like horror films, black and white in 3D, like a Creature of the Blue Lagoon or whatever. And you'd have to go to your local like 7-Eleven, which is a liquor store over here, and get your glasses.
Oh,
And
right,
then
like
on
the blue
Friday
and
night,
red ones and the
the blue and red ones. And then Friday night, you sit down and you watch what Elvira presents, and she presents the.
I thought we were
other
going
than
into
her-
the sexual awakening of Iraj then for a second.
Oh no. I was all about the 3D glasses.
Like,
I'm talking when I was like 9 or 10 years old.
We should tie that top on so I could get onto the 3D movies, please.
That's right.
I've got a
Her
3D.
boobies were never in 3D.
Yeah,
Ever.
I bought a
3D
3D TV just because when I needed a new TV, that was when it was standard, like
that was the
2012
thing,
or whatever.
Right.
And then I was at we got this sort of like slightly upscale flea market that's near where I live, the Camberwell market. So Camberwell's quite a well-to-do area, so it means that there's a lot of decent stuff. It's all quite nice stuff that gets cleared out. And there was a guy selling $2 Blu-rays, so I got Suicide Squad, Endgame, Batman vs Superman extended cut. What else did I get?
Wow.
Raise of the Lost
3.
Ark. No, not Raise of the Lost Ark. But like the Justice League and another one I think with the 3D versions. And I've just gone, I think I could do 3. Like I was like, in my head I'm going, I'd have to hook the Xbox up to because that TV and then fish out the glasses and. Do I really want to watch Dawn of Justice in 3D? Do I really want to commit?
Maybe it'll help.
Maybe it's the extended cut. It might help.
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't. That's all right, I guess.
So you didn't try it?
No, I haven't done it yet. They're just sitting on this is on Sunday. They're just sitting on the shelf over there. I haven't even put them.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I still get funny about like physical media. Like I still like to own it. I don't trust. I just know that one day I'm gonna log on to Disney Plus and go, I'm gonna watch Endgame. They're like, nah. Sorry,
it's not happening.
Yeah,
no, I get that too. I'm old school, man. I used to have laser discs, man. You're probably too young to know what those are, but
dude, we're the same age, mate. I know exactly.
Are we the same age?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think I'll even be older than you.
No, how old are you?
I'm 42.
Oh no, I'm older than you. I got 2 years.
Gee. Dude, wow.
So you remember
we're pretty
laser
close.
discs.
We're pretty close. Yeah, you're not talking to some sort
Yeah.
of millennial here who's just like, what are you talking about, old man?
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
I'm used to working with Eric Struthers, who's usually way older than me. So I'm the youngin.
Yeah, well, I got boxes of like when I moved to England when I was 25, and I had like shelves of CDs, and I just dumped them at my parents' place and then about a year ago they just came around up to Melbourne and they've gone, here are all your CDs back. Here you go. Here's all these boxes. So I've just got boxes of CDs just sitting around in my study at the moment that I haven't. I'm just going, is there any point opening them up? Do I need?
Yeah.
If I want to listen to like Binaural by Pearl Jam, do I need to fish into there for whatever reason? Can I just get it off the,
I just want to say how happy I am that you brought up Binaural from Pearl Jam. As a Pearl Jam diehard crazy fan, that's not the one that people bring up mostly. So well done, done.
I don't mind that record. I only ever saw Pearl Jam once, and I missed the famous Australia tour in '94 when they came off the back of Vitalogy, and I was in high school, and I remember like some friends of mine that had, because I grew up in like rural Victoria, so Melbourne was like an hour and a half of the way, and they got some package deal where you got they drove you to the gig and then drove you back. And so
that's cool.
Like the next day at school, all these kids like had their tour shirts on, and they did three shows in Melbourne. And the first night that they did, the kids went mental. The security guards beat the kids up. So they fired the security company, brought in another security company for the next gig, which was the night after or the night after like that. And Dave Grohl turned up at that gig, drummed the last song, like Rockin' in the Free World. And then the night after that, they did the Myer Music Bowl, which is a different venue. So they'd been at like the tennis center where they hold the Australian Open, like the arena there. And then they did this place called the Myer Music Bowl, which is kind of like the Hollywood Bowl, it's like an open air kind of thing.
Got it, yeah.
So, which was great, but they just had temporary fencing on. So they had the 10,000 who turned up for the gig and another 10,000 who just turned up to kick the fence down. So I had some friends who were like, "Yeah, we were at the Kick the Fence Down Pearl Jam gig in '94."
Yeah. Right. That's awesome.
But I knew you were coming on, and I've got another story, a Pearl Jam related story for you, just because you're here.
Cool.
Lots of Star Wars talk, but when I've got you here, because it popped in my brain. I was at a pub in London in about 2007, 2008, in Shoreditch. I'm trying to remember the name of the pub. I can't remember, but I was just upstairs with a mate of mine, and there was a band playing in the corner, and I was sort of half paying attention. It was kind of weird because it wasn't like you're paying cover charge to go see a band. You're like, I'm here to see the band. Like the band was just on.
Right. They were just in the background.
They're just in the background, and I'm just looking over and I'm going, this band looks familiar. Like, where have I seen this band before? And the band was a band called Betcha Duper. And the guy who fronted it was a guy called Liam Finn, who is Neil Finn from Crowded Son's son, who's now actually in Crowded House. And I recognized him because he knew my brother. My brother's a musician, so he knew Liam. So I must have met him in passing, because, through my brother.
Yeah.
But not enough to be like, hey, how's it going? Because he wouldn't know who the hell I was. And then I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then, like, I just sort of seen they have another, and then, like, I feel this, like, someone sort of pushes past me and walks past. Short dude, curly brown hair, freaking walk up. Eddie Vedder walks up on the stage.
Oh my God.
Stands up and is like, here you go, Betcha Duper, what a great band. And they do a song called I See Red, which is a Split Enz song that Neil Finn was in. That was like his band before Crowded House. Yeah, and there's a live Neil Finn album where Eddie Vedder sings on that. He does that song for him. So right. I put two and two together. Pearl Jam are in town doing gigs. They've obviously, he knows Liam through Neil and just said, oh, I'll come down, I'll do a song. So he literally came in, got up, did the song, waved, got down. And I swear, 3/4 of the crowd didn't even realize what had happened until it had happened. But people just like,
oh my
was
gosh.
That freaking Eddie Vedder? Like, he's small. He's small. He's a small dude too. Like,
Is he a small dude?
Yeah, he's not big. Like, maybe he's not like tiny, but I guess that's like a stage presence.
He does have a stage presence when he's out there, but you're right. He's not like a tall guy.
No. Now I've got to, what?
Yeah.
The thing I find, have you guys ever done like commentary tracks or anything?
What kind of tracks?
Like commentary tracks, like as content.
Oh, no, not yet. I wish
1.69 meters. So I've done a couple of them with the podcast. Inadvertently, every time I do one, I start talking about wondering how tall actors are. I go like, okay, how tall do you reckon? Like, how tall do you reckon like John Boyega is? Oh yeah, well, how tall is Benicio del Toro? Do you reckon like he's like really tall or really short, or Kelly Marie Tran must be short?
I'm sure you get surprised every single time you see it.
Yeah,
right.
Because you're like Adam Driver must be huge, but then Daisy Ridley's probably only and I think Mark Hamill's quite short too. So
yeah, he is. Yeah, he sure is.
Have you ever been?
That's cool.
In person with Hamill? Have you had a photo with Hamill?
I've been right next to Hamill before he went in to do a bunch of autographs at one of the celebrations, but I didn't go in and get his autograph. But I was right next to him.
Oh, so you saw him you're like, oh, he's
he was like 5 feet away from me.
That's cool.
Yeah,
kept it together.
I did. I thought I wouldn't, but the only person I think that I would lose it, Star Wars wise, would be obviously Harrison Ford. I would think I would like.
Do you think that's more that you're not sure how it's going to go? You know what I mean? Like, you just got to he could just be so, like the famous clip of Steele meeting Harrison. And I remember because at that time when he met Harrison, I was doing a lot of video stuff for him. That's how I kind of became friends with Steele originally. And then got into this basically and so he was we were sending messages and stuff, and he'd sent me a message like, oh my God, like I spoke to Harrison Ford, like I'll send you a video, I'm going to put it on the thing. But there's that whole thing of like, you don't know what you're going to get. Like he got like happy Harrison, who was happy to be there, but you could.
Yeah, he sure did. He got lucky.
He got lucky. Percentage back end Force Awakens points, Harrison Ford.
That's right. That's exactly right. No, it wouldn't be that. It would be just because I've absolutely just adored the guy since I was a little kid. Han's my favorite character of all time, and I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan, huge Blade Runner fan. Loved him all in Patriot Game. I love all his movies. He's just that guy for me. So, and I don't get too starstruck with people. Like if I see him, like in LA or something, I go, "Oh, cool, that's whoever that is."
Yeah, we don't really get that here. You're not gonna see too many famous people walking around in Melbourne, really. Unless it's like a local footballer or something. That's about it, really.
Right. Well, over here, when I was younger, when I used to go bar hopping in LA, if you go on the nights where it's not a Friday or Saturday and you go on, Sunday through Thursday, and you go to like local bars in LA and Westwood and Hollywood, you'll see people. People will be out and about because that's the time where they won't get bothered.
Yeah. If people
you
cool,
only have you only have boozers go out on the weekdays and drinking, you know what I mean? So yeah. So, but Harrison, I've never been anywhere near Harrison Ford. So,
you reckon you can go around again for Indy? You're feeling confident?
I am feeling confident. I think he's going to do it, and I think it's. I just don't know what he's going to do in Indy. I don't know how much running he's going to do, but they're building a pretty decent.
Do you think it'll just be a lot of like, over here, there's a motorbike, and he just gets on a motorbike and quick,
exactly.
Don't worry, there's a hot air balloon. Because he just jumps in a hot air balloon and he just goes across.
Right. Yeah, I don't see much running or physical activities for good old Harrison.
You reckon they'll do the flashbacks, like the youngified, the young Indy flashbacks,
like they did with River?
Yeah, I don't mean that. I mean more going. They cut back to, Raiders of the Lost Ark period. It's like, this reminds me, these flashbacks, like this all goes back to da-da-da, and they cut back. Or even the movie starts like with Raiders era, and it's a job he couldn't finish, and it's picking up a thread years later.
That's funny that you said that, because I had a theory when the news came out that Solo was coming out, that Solo was going to start with Harrison Ford and Billy D. Williams and Chewie playing Sabacc in the current time, and them talking about different things they got into, and then it would flash back to see, Alden as Harrison. I thought that would have been cool. I thought that would have been great to have Harrison actually in a Star Wars film again, and as Han Solo again, and a way to like bring Alden up. But that obviously didn't happen. But
I don't think we've seen the last of Alden.
I don't think so either. I don't think so.
Especially,
I actually loved Solo. I have no problems with Solo.
Yeah, considering he's, I think he was in something else quite recently, but it's not like he's all of a sudden he's become Chris Hemsworth, and you can't afford. I mean, although like they got what's his name, Donald Glover, and he's huge, so it's not like I'm like, as if Disney has a money problem, like whatever,
Right, exactly. Right,
money's not an object.
Now streaming. You get so many A-listers now with streaming service shows and movies, and there's no difference anymore.
I think they quite like it. Like I think, not that I'm an A-lister or an actor, but I think.
How tall are you?
I'm taller than Eddie Vedder. About 6. I'm 6 foot. I could pass. I have to go for a run every now and then. But like, I think that they quite like the idea of that, because it's sort of, you can develop a character a lot more than you can in a movie as well. And I think in the case of like pivoting back to Star Wars, because this is what we're here for, I suppose, is like, I think the appetite for just do it on streaming is really, like Obi-Wan's a perfect example where you're going like, well, it'd be great to go see an Obi-Wan movie for 2 hours, but if I get 7 hours, 6 hours,
right?
Like give me that. And I'm sure Ewan McGregor's kind of like, well, that's great because I don't have to try and cram. I don't have to try and bring this character back, give him depth, and kind of do more than I could do in those movies last time in 2 hours. Now I get to sit here and and I think in Obi-Wan there's going to be character stuff. People are going to be like, why is Obi-Wan like? Why do we have to watch a scene about Obi-Wan like running out of water or something? You know what I mean, or something like that, or he can't get his water running, or he's having a bad time. Like, get to the action. It's like, well, we've got this room to breathe now.
No, absolutely. I would honestly rather have these shows. Like you said, we're getting 8 hours, 10 hours. We're watching Bad Batch. 16, well, it's not, those are half an hour actually now. So 8 hours of content, which is crazy, which is amazing. Like the Falcon Winter Soldier, the production value with that and WandaVision, those are motion picture blockbuster production values. So you're getting a movie every single week.
Yeah.
And how can you complain about that,
Yeah, I kind of like think about what Falcon and Winter Soldier and gone, if they tried to do that as a movie, like it would have just been a mess, like
it would have been a cluster. Yeah, it would have just
been. I mean, you'd have to just cut huge, big chunks and stuff out of it. I don't know, like maybe it's easy to say because I haven't been to the movies much this year. I've been to the movies twice this year. Well, we've been open a little bit longer too. So have you been at all?
No, I have not this year at all. None. Zero.
So do you reckon Black Widow will be the first thing to get you out, or?
Yes, absolutely. I will definitely go see Black Widow. I'll go see any movie that's, that's not on HBO Max. I have HBO Max, and I have like a room in my house that's like a movie room with a huge, massive screen and
Nice.
surround sound. So instead of like Godzilla and Kong, I watched it in the movie room.
Yeah. Well, the thing I think I have mentioned this one on the last podcast that I did, that, I went and saw Godzilla Kong, and it was the first movie I'd seen for a year. I'm like, isn't this great being back in the movies? And then all of a sudden there's like somebody on their phone, somebody talking. I'm like,
Yeah,
I hate people. I remember how much nicer it was just being at home, just watching.
That's a lie. You're not the first person that said that. I think one of my brother-in-law and co-host, Sith List, Carlos,
Boo.
Boo. He said that he had the best time of his life. It was one of the best experiences of his life. But within like an hour, some kids were talking and messing around. He's like, oh, totally brought him back to like, oh man,
the reality of other people.
Yeah, the reality. Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about the Sith List. You got that full deck of dudes going on there. Like, I always find it admirable that you give everybody their space. And you said that there is. There's some editing and stuff that goes on as well, but it's sort of
right.
I think when Les came on, he said that he wasn't even on from the start. You're OG, obviously.
Yeah, I am one of the founding members.
Are you the last OG? Are you literally the last?
No. Here's how it started. It was my wife's wedding shower, and my brother-in-law Carlos was living on his own at that time, and I said, "Hey, man, can I just come over there while the shower's going on at the house?" And he's like, "Yeah, come on over." And I said, "Okay, I'm going to bring my laptop." And normally when me and Carlos would go out, or me and Les or any of my friends, we'd go to a bar, and the next thing you know, we're having a debate on Batman or Superman, or who's the best superhero, or Star Wars, or who shot first. So I was like, I've been listening to Star Wars Underworld for a year or so, and then other podcasts. And I said, I'm going to bring my laptop. I don't have any equipment except for my laptop, and we're just going to put it in the middle of a table, and we're going to talk. So we did that, and that was the first episode. The first like 5 or 6 episodes of the Sith List is like the worst quality, because the microphones are just the built-ins from the laptop. There's no editing. It's just awful. But that's how it started. And then we brought Les aboard. I've known Les for like 25 years. I've worked with him for 20, and he knows everything about everything, and especially comics. So I forced him to come on for an episode, and then just kept him.
Yep.
And then
I'll be back next week. He's like, I'm done. Like, until I say you're done.
Exactly. And then started listening to the Bad Motivators with Eric, and thought that he'd be great to come on the podcast. And one of my buddies, and I'm Johnny Grosso from Rogue One.
Yeah, I know. Love Johnny.
Rogue One and now Pop Culture Hour. He recommended Eric to come on and pretty much be like the Star Wars anchor of our show. And so that was going on. It was me, Eric, Les, and Boo for a long run. And then every week we'd get this amazing voicemail from King Tom, Tom Chansky. And I just called him. I said, listen, instead of you phoning in every week, just be on the podcast, man. We'd love to have you. And he's like, I would love to be on it. And now it's been history. So it's us. And then we bring our friends and people that we love. We bring them on board and just hang out. My whole goal was to just have a podcast and feel like you're at a bar talking to your friends. And that's hopefully how it still sounds.
Yeah. I've been listening for a long time, but I came into it later, when probably after I already knew most of you guys. Actually, it was kind of weird because it was, like I knew Eric and Tom probably a bit better just because I'd had them on the pod before and stuff, and we hung at Celebration. We crossed paths at Celebration a little bit, but we sort of become better friends since. But how did you feel like looking at Celebration slipping away? Was it like a tough pill to swallow?
Oh, it was rough because it's in our home city. I grew up in Orange County.
Yeah,
so
right.
It was in Anaheim.
Home game.
And knowing that all you guys were going to be coming down, the best part of this whole community, podcasting and the YouTube, now we're on YouTube and stuff, but the best part of it is meeting all the people in the community that we hang out with during like Celebration. And if you haven't been to Celebration, it's just a big fun party. And it goes all day and all night, and you're there with people that love the same thing you do and have the passion for Star Wars that you do. But it's just great. It's just the coolest people. There's no drama. There's no internet drama. It's just about the love of the franchise, and that's the best part.
That was the funny thing
really
about
is.
like that. I had Andy and Catherine on last episode, and because we passed that 2
great.
years, and we just we did the retrospect, kind of the look back, and talked about it, and we talked about panels, and like leading up was all like gotta get panels, and we got really lucky panels. We got in all the big ones, and then afterwards, looking back, we've just gone, we're looking forward to the next one. Panels don't even really mean shit, like it wouldn't matter,
Right.
like we're going forward, going like, oh, it'd be nice, but I'd much rather just. I want to see King Tom, like I'd just rather do that.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
That just it just pivoted like that. All of a sudden, the priority just became, so changed. But I suppose, looking back, if it turns out next year, you go, oh, I do want to be in that Kenobi panel or whatever, like
I know, right? I know. I want to be in all those damn panels.
Like, it's
But
good to
you're
see
right.
my friends, but I'll step over him to get into that Kenobi panel.
That's exactly the thing is that it's all about hanging out. Like I remember hanging out with you guys at Steele's event. That was like the highlight of my whole weekend. I was pretty hammered that night, but getting that damn beanie on my head, wearing that beanie for the rest of I think I got the last beanie. By the way,
you got the last one.
I think
you got the last one. The last one.
I appreciate that.
I don't know why. It was the last one. Dallas got the very, very last one, because I think I've told this, that like the day after, Dallas kind of came and was like, bro, when am I going to get a beanie? And I just said, I gave you a beanie like 3 days ago. He was like, no, you didn't. I didn't get one. And I'm like, oh shit, because I assumed that like the first night we went to the Echo Base and like Eric was there and Luke was there and everybody, like I just doled them out, and then I kind of felt like I hit pretty much everybody I knew in that first day. And then for whatever reason, Dallas
we flew in.
Dallas slipped
I was
through
so
the cracks.
bummed. Josh, I was so bummed, and that was one of the reasons I was really bummed, was because we found out that you guys all showed up to Echo Base that night before we got there, and we're like, Les and I were like, damn it, we want to meet those guys. Yeah, I remember that.
It was, and then I said, well, I've only got one, and then I was like, oh, really sorry, Darius, and I was like, because I had about 3 or 4 back in Australia, and I was just gone, oh, maybe I could just post him one, and then I went, oh, hang on, I do have one more beanie left. I've got the beanie on my head. I gave it. Take that one, Dallas. Cool. And he's like, no, you can't give me that one. I'm like, dude, just take it. I've got like 4 or 5 left in Melbourne. And so the one that I have now is one that didn't go to Chicago. And I've got none. They're all gone. Like I think the very, very, very last one that got given out was to Chris Fresh. At Wrestle Rock,
well deserved.
at Wrestle, he climbed out of the wrestling. He climbed out of the wrestling ring doing his little intro, and I was on the barrier and I waved over to him and handed him the beanie, and then he put it on his head and went out and was talking like in the wrestling ring, talking about the beanie and talking about the podcast and stuff. And going, people don't care about this. Like,
way.
What are you doing?
That's awesome, dude.
So I think he was a few beers in. I think, but
I'm sure.
So what, like, if you did your priority panel, like going on that, KK puts all the logos up. And she's like, this is what's coming, and we'll assume that there's a panel for each one of those logos, and they go, all right, for your little celebration ticket thing, you got to do your 3, 2, 1s. We're going to actually do it slightly more fair. You got to pick your priorities here. What's your 3, 2, 1 panel going to be?
It's got to, Kenobi's got to be number 1 for me, just because we're going to get Ewan back and Hayden back. That's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me because I feel like, not Ewan per se, because Ewan has gone on and become this, A-list amazing actor. But Hayden has been crapped on so much because of those prequels. I just love the fact that he's going to get some recognition, and how, and it's well deserved. And I just feel bad for him with that whole situation, because he can act. I know a lot of people think he can't. If you haven't seen Life as a House, check it out. It's a fantastic movie, and I think it was the reason why he landed that role.
Shattered Glass is good. He's good in that too. Have you ever seen Shattered Glass?
Shattered Glass is phenomenal.
Yeah,
phenomenal. Yeah. So I cannot wait to see Hayden. Hopefully they let him act. Can't wait for that.
Is he
also
still,
Andor?
Does he still do stuff? Like, is he still in the biz in general?
I
Like,
don't.
is he?
I think he's just taking care of his kids now. I know
Right.
he got a divorce
It'd be
recently.
interesting if he, off the back of this, if he starts popping up in stuff again. Because, like, he's still, people know the
hope
name.
so.
Like, people much less famous get put into stuff all the time. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh,
you could
absolutely.
start getting into that, that thing where he could start popping up into things like, and Hayden Christensen, he could be the
I would
new,
love that.
you'd be the new David Harbour or something. He's probably too handsome to be the new David Harbour, but you know what I mean? Like, he could
Yeah.
be the,
Right.
the comeback kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly. There's always a renaissance of somebody, right?
Yeah.
The
We're the
renaissance.
Chris.
The
No, it doesn't really
Yeah.
work, doesn't it? The Chris Jonathan, the Haydonisons.
but a Kenobi for sure. Andor would be my number 2. And gosh, the Mandalorian season 3. I mean, Book of Boba Fett. I mean, there's so many that there's going to be a panel where I'm going to go, damn it, I didn't get into that damn panel.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into it.
Yeah. It's
But-
weird that, like, oh yeah, there's another, like, you're probably the same, because we're the same age pretty much. Like, I still have that thing built into me that I have to wait a long time for Star Wars. Like, I've waited so long, for episode 1, and then I had to wait 3 years for episode 2, another 3 years for episode 3, and then, whatever it was, 10 years, I'm still genetically programmed to think that all Star Wars takes a long time to arrive. And then you go,
yeah.
like, we just had, like, Mandalorian season 2 only finished like 4 months ago. And then like Book of Boba Fett will be here in like 6 months time or whatever it is.
Right. And isn't Andor coming out soon? Like, they're almost done filming, aren't they?
I think so. I think there was some set stuff that came out the other day. I'd have
There
to
was,
ask.
yeah.
Speak to our resident Andor expert, Catherine Neen, who
Right. She is.
although she's
and I get
torn,
it.
the fandom, she's torn between the anticipation and not wanting to be spoiled. So I think she's very much like, well, I don't want to look at anything I'm not supposed to look at, but at the same time, excitement levels.
Right. Somebody, one of our listeners DM'd me a video of him in action or something. And I was like, oh my God, this is pretty cool, man. And I was like, where did you get this?
Well, I think they were just on like shooting at some seaside town in Britain. I think.
Okay. Okay.
It was
So,
outdoor because Sean from Blue Banther Milk, and we were in a little chat group, a bunch of us Melbourne crew, Matt and Sean from Blue Banther Milk were in it, and he grew up in Britain, obviously, and he's just gone, oh yeah, we used to go on holidays at this place. It's just like a seaside town. They're just like on the steps.
Gotcha.
So people are obviously just there with their phones. I guess they've just gone, well, it's Diego Luna in a brown shirt and there's some stormtroopers. Like, we're not really,
Yeah. Right.
if he got his head blown off or something, it might be spoiler worthy or something.
Yeah,
but I
that's
don't
true.
think-
Yeah, we all know what he's doing and who he is as a character. That's true.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that one. By the way, that's going to be
Well,
be
that
awesome.
feels like this could be like the last old school Star Wars production Andor, because they're doing like giant sets and they're doing outdoor filming, and because I think they just, for whatever reason, like I guess they built the volume in America, and then for whatever reason they just went old school in Britain, and they've got all the studio space and stuff there and whatever else, and I think it might actually have a lot to do with, because I think a few years ago, like Disney booked all that studio space, like because they were going to do all. I think off the back of Solo, they're like, we're going to do all the like they talk about the Mos Eisley thing, and so what I think happened was that they booked like 3 years worth of studio space there, and go like, we're just going to make Star Wars movies every year, and then we're
that's
we're
probably
not
exactly
anymore,
what they did.
but we'll shoot Andor there. And we won't use the volume because we've got all this. We've got, we need more than one big room, so we're going to use all this, because it's studio space. There's set designers. There's all these other people and stuff. So, which is probably a pretty good reason. I should find my friend in Britain. She's worked with Lucasfilm. She works for the BFI, the British Film Institute. So she places people onto film sets. So she works in a program where they put people who wouldn't normally get the chance, because it's a lot of who you know. So it's people from different backgrounds and different economic backgrounds,
that's cool.
and so she did Solo. I think she did Last Jedi, and I think she did Rise of Skywalker. So she worked with Lucasfilm, going, we'll put people, like, teach them, upskill them, teach them skills and all this kind of stuff. But she had a baby, so I don't know if she was on the last one, but she had like a COVID baby, so everything, nothing was happening.
It was done.
It was done. I was going to ask you, because you're a music guy, Like,
I am.
Yeah, I don't want to turn this into the music podcast. I was like, well, how do I work this into like?
Oh no, I would love talking about. I'll talk about anything. You want to talk about music, movies,
Like, did
babies?
you get?
Let's do it.
Oh, babies! How is your baby going?
My baby's good. He is
What is he now?
22 months.
Wow! So he's running the joint.
22 months. Oh, dude, he thinks he runs everything. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But it's so cool because today he was singing parts of Jeremy. So he doesn't say from Pearl Jam. He doesn't say Jeremy's spoken. He says Jeremy's broken. He's broken.
Grr.
Yeah. And he sees Eddie Vedder on TV and he yells Eddie. Like it's like the proudest moment. And then he's all into Star Wars. He loves everything Star Wars.
Has he seen
It's
Bluey
awesome,
yet?
man. No,
Oh,
not yet.
Dude, do yourself a favor.
Wait. We watch Bluey on Tuesdays at my mom's house.
Ah.
We do. We watch a little bit, but he's not fully into it yet.
He's not into it yet.
But he'll sit there and watch it for like 5-10 minutes.
What's these weird accents? What do these people do? These weird Australian dogs up
They're
to?
cool. They're so cool.
Well, the guy who
Like
plays
the dad is rad.
the guy who plays the dad is a guy called Dave McCormack, and he was in a big indie band in the 90s in Australia called Custard. So he's got like I've seen Custard a million times. I've got a bunch of their albums. Like an Australian band. You wouldn't know them, but I'll send you a playlist. But they're really good, really sort of indie, poppy, kind of funny band.
Okay.
And then it was just weird because like Bluey came out and I was watching it, when it first came out going, where have I heard that voice before? Like, where have I heard it? And I'm like, oh, that's bloody Dave McCormack from Custard, and he's the dad. So every now and then, because we have like the radio on in our house a lot, so it's just sort of on in the background. And in Australia, we have the youth network, which is called Triple J. So Triple J is like the national youth network. So growing up, it was a really big deal because they put alternative radio into all of Australia. So it was like I grew up in rural Australia. So you actually got like good bands and alternative music was played because it was through the National Youth broadcaster.
So cool.
So all the big tours, all the big bands would come through Triple J. A lot of bands would break through Triple J, and eventually, you you're too old because you like go, oh, geez, they're just playing crap on Triple J. Like that's how you know you've aged out of it. That basically,
I know how that feels.
So what they've done is that they've got a spin-off station called Double J, which is what originally it was called when it was just a Sydney station, where they're basically like. They've got all the old presenters from Triple J have aged out, and they play the band. So they'll play the bands that used to be on back in the day. But if they've got new stuff, they'll play their new stuff. So they'll go, oh, You Am I's got a new album out. We'll play their new album where it would never get played on the youth network.
Right.
This is a long way around of saying that Custard gets played on Double J, and my girls go
Double J.
That's Bluey's dad. Like, what's Bluey's dad doing singing on the listening to
That's how you know you're old.
Yeah, that's how you know you're old. That the guy used to rock out to is voicing a cartoon dog.
Yeah, but he's funny. I love it.
I'll send you some songs.
I feel the same way about Danny Elfman because when I was a kid, I grew up going to Oingo Boingo shows, and Oingo Boingo was a big band in Southern California. I don't know if they were big at all in Australia. But...
I definitely know of them. Yeah.
Okay, so they were huge over here and eccentric, crazy, ska sounding horn section band. But then Danny Elfman went on to become one of the greatest composers of all time, and the Boingo never made another album. This is crazy to me. So people listen to Boingo songs here; they have no idea it's Danny Elfman singing those songs.
Wasn't Howard Shore who did like the Lord of the Rings? Wasn't he like the musical guy? Like he wasn't he the keyboard player on SNL or something like that? Like he was like just like.
Was he? I didn't know.
He was some
That's
kind
crazy.
of. He was. Yeah, it's kind of weird, I guess, because I suppose you got to start somewhere, don't you? You can't just kind of rock up and score movies.
Yeah, right. Look at Trent Reznor. Trent Reznor just won an Oscar for and he's been composing music now for the last 10 years, and he hasn't put out a 9 Inch Nail album in the last 10 years, but he's making tons of money and making crazy. I think he does all the David Fincher stuff now.
Yeah.
It's
have you seen that
exclusive
documentary?
Trent Reznor.
The documentary on Netflix, the Dr. Dre, Jimmy IV one. What's it? Not the Descendants. The something. It's like the We're Tough. I can't remember what's it called now. I know
exactly what you're
talking about. What I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
But there's a whole thing in that where he starts Interscope and he spends a year of his life trying to get Nine Inch Nails sign to like pry them away. He's just like, this is the guy. Right. You know, like I bet everything on Dre, and now I'm going to bet everything on Trent Reznor.
Yeah, and it worked.
Yeah. I knew we'd get around to
I was a big Primus guy. They were on Interscope too.
I used to love that. We're known as Big Brown Beaver. That was my favorite film clip, that one with the cowboy outfits.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go see him actually in a couple in October. They're doing a tribute to Rush, so they're coming on. They're playing in an amphitheater, playing a whole Rush album.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, I'm a huge Rush fan. So
gigs are back.
Gigs are back. Yeah, I have my Pearl Jam tickets. They were postponed, but they're still not canceled. I went to a concert last Saturday. It was for promoting vaccinations, which was great, and Foo Fighters were there. And
was Eddie Vedder there at that? I think I saw a clip.
Eddie Vedder was there. Eddie Vedder played 2 songs.
Yeah. Songs make sure to get your vaccinations, everybody. Give a shot.
Vaccinations. Yeah. He did 2 songs. He opened up the whole show, and then J-Lo came out, did a song, but then Foo Fighters just annihilated the night. They were amazing. They brought Brian Johnson out from AC/DC. And they did
nice. I was going to say Australia's own, but he's not actually. He was like he was the fly-in. We still claim AC/DC, obviously, but
you can claim AC/DC. Yeah. You guys, absolutely.
I mean, Foo Fighters.
I'm sorry. I was going to say I played Thunderstruck for my little boy the other day just to see if he can get into it. He did.
Oh, nice.
He liked it.
I've got a Gibson SG in my guitar rack, actually, like Angus's one. So yeah, it's not bad. I can't quite play like Angus can, but my cousin Angus is named after Angus Young. That's the story, anyway.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. See, that's awesome. That is so cool.
Yeah, his dad's a bit of a rock. My dad and his dad still play in a band together. So like my uncle, my dad's been playing in bands for 40 years or something, and they still play. And
that's epic. That is epic.
It's
quite
so
cool.
Mate, we're still running out of time here, which is such a bummer. We're going to have to get you back on soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
As soon as possible. I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of what's going on. But
I'm down. And you invite, I'll come back and talk music and Star Wars. And
I know. Well, I just want to let you talk, man, because you're not sort of wrangling the rest of those clowns trying to,
Yeah, I know. It's hard to get some, words in.
What's the longest you guys have ever gone? You seem to run a pretty tight ship, or is it like editing? Is it like a 3-hour thing?
Oh no, dude. We used to go. Our show used to be 2 hours back in the day, like nonstop. I didn't like taking things out because everything. Once Les and King Tom get into like a subject about Marvel, they can go on for 40 minutes, and it's pretty riveting. Like if you've heard those guys talk about the comics and you hear the passion in their voice, you just geek out listening. And I sometimes forget that I'm like trying to guide the podcast, but now I try to just make it an hour and 30 max. Even if we go 2 hours, I'll cut out 30 minutes. I don't care.
Yeah, right.
I'll cut out the meat. That's for sure.
For some reason, I've always had this thing in my head of like, I'm just going to keep it under an hour. And then I always, sometimes it's good. Like I don't actually, I think that's fair. I don't think I've ever had a guest where I'm just like, geez, I've got to try and cut this off short. Like, everything's always going well. But, I always have times, when I'm like, I could have just, like the last couple actually, I had Les on was the same, and I had Alice from Forced Toast was the same. But obviously Chris Fresh, you just feel like you could just go and go and go.
Fresh can go
just
forever.
Talk for days and stuff.
Alice too. Alice is phenomenal. I miss. We used to have them on all the time. Thank you for reminding me. We got to get out the Forced Toast girls back on.
Yeah,
they're great.
It's kind of funny because I always, because when I have a guest on every week, it's like half the battle is organizing it, but really I just go. It's always organizing myself. Because usually you ask someone and they're like, yeah, if I can't do it this week, I'll do it next week. You're like, oh, well, that was easy. It's actually not that hard. It's not that hard.
No, it's not. It's not.
Dude, Sith List, tell people what you're all about. I know we've been touching on it, but if anybody listens to this, they listen to Sith List. But, plug away what's coming up. I mean, you guys are going to, Loki's coming out. You guys are going to get no sleep. You're going to just be like up for days. You're going to be like that when Krusty did his own TV show in the shed and he was up for days on the public access thing. You guys are going to be just like 24/7.
Yeah, so we've been on. We obviously you can find us wherever podcasts are enjoyed. The Sith List, and I always say not syphilis, it's the Sith List. And we just started a YouTube thing. Like, when Mandalorian season 2 came out, we started it. Just Les and I, and sometimes King Tom pops in, and we do reactions to the videos. We watch the videos, the episodes together. Les and I do, and then in the mornings we do a breakdown. and we've done Mandalorian, WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier. We're doing Bad Batch right now. And it's been a blast. It's been so much fun. It's
my go-to, man.
Great is,
as soon as I watch it, because it drops in the evenings here, so I'll watch Bad Batch or Mandalorian. Sort of kids go to bed 7:30,
right? And
then by the time I go to bed, 10:30, 11, whatever it is, normal time, I pop on my YouTube and there are you boys there smiling at me going, let's see what lesson Lincoln and Raj got to say about this thing. And I get to quickly revisit the episode in my head too. So it's good.
Yeah, no, thank you. We appreciate that, man. It's cool. It's been a lot of fun. It's been great. We usually do breakdowns with King Tom in the mornings, but Bad Batch, Les and I have been doing the breakdowns on Kessel Run Transmissions. So we're doing it there for the Bad Batch. But when Loki comes out, I know King Tom's going to be pretty pumped up to wake up early in the morning.
I've got to get someone off that show. I might have to tap Claire Stribling. I want to know more about that little Star Wars clubhouse that they're running down there. I need to. It's just like, what a dream to be in your 20s and just live in this little Star Wars house, making little Star Wars TV shows and getting scoops and having stars and what a life! I wasted.
We
my
love
20s,
it.
Man.
We love that they're down here because we kind of like taking them in and trying to show them around Southern California. Les and I and Randy Judice from an old podcast back in the day, but we're kind of like showing them the ropes of SoCal. And we're having a blast with them, man. They're such great people, and they're putting out some great content every single week. It's pretty amazing what they're doing, and they're super young. They make us feel young hanging out with them, so which is pretty cool.
That's what we need, dude. I wish we could just keep going on, but let's. You know what? We'll pick this back up again sooner rather than later. Always good to see you.
Anytime.
We'll keep on going. Listen to the Sith List. Thanks everybody for listening. StarWarsSpelledOut.com for stuff, silly t-shirts. There's a new Bad Batch t-shirt up there. I've got to actually promote that. Iraj, thank you, my friend. What a pleasure.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me, man.
Great, dude. See you later.
Later, buddy.